Lee Summit is your destination for big city vibes and small town charm.
Head to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market, where local meets fresh. Then grab a cup of coffee and discover a variety of shops and boutiques just around the corner. Continue the fun in downtown Lee Summit at a retro arcade bar. Discover your new beer at one of our 6 locally owned breweries. Cool off with some handcrafted cocktails at happy hour. End the night with live music and good company. Lee Summit, Missouri.
Hello, Lee Summit. I'm Laura Ingeman, and this is your flash briefing for the week of September 9th. City Council will hold a joint session Tuesday night with the Lee Summit R7 School Board at 6 p.m. at the Missouri Innovation Campus. The meeting is open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. Plan for a night of rock and roll at the Legacy Park Amphitheater on Saturday, September 14th, as Inhalen, a tribute to Van Halen, takes the stage at 7 p.m. Enjoy the explosive energy that captures the essence of one of rock's greatest bands. Prepare to be blown away. Buy tickets today at lsparks.net. The city is seeking individuals interested in contributing to discussions that will influence property maintenance code enforcement within the city. Ideally, participants would have firsthand knowledge of Lee Summit through residency, business ownership, or property management. Submit interest by September 10th on the city's website at cityofls.net. And beginning this week, we're giving our parking spaces a fresh coat of paint in the City Hall parking garage and north parking lot. The work will be done overnight starting at 10 p.m. September 9th, 11th, and 12th. Stay tuned for a brighter, fresher look. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. So we can put our white, our red, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those. And it goes through, it's got a very small but sharp needle that goes through and cuts everything out, letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual sign blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys and get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Tim, once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. Needs to come up too. Perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple, quick.
Member Lovell. Thank you, Mayor. Great presentation, Ryan. Thank you. Is there any indicator that shows, are we supporting a need with...
You know, they talk about like gym rats, kids that grew up with their dads that were coaches. Like I was a city hall rat. My dad, Tom Lovell, was hired as the Parks Administrator in 1978 and spent 40 years in public service here in Lee Summit. I would go up on the weekends when he was working and I'd run around and play and do things, and I didn't know what he was doing at the time, but I just knew that was part of our weekend routine some days, was to go up and hang out at City Hall. Being part of a city from a young age to now in my adult life, you reap so many benefits from that. The people you know, you care more for something that you've been a part of. My wife and I knew we wanted to raise a family. Just trying to find a community that we thought we could raise our children in, that was good to me. And it just felt like the right move as we were deciding on a city to come back to. Fortunate to have started a business in 2018. I founded Lovell Insurance Group, and we are a business insurance brokerage. So we help businesses procure insurance. Decided to throw our flag in the ground here in Lee Summit, and it's grown. I also have this passion for learning and curiosity, and I started a podcast series. So I really enjoy this opportunity where I sit down with business owners and tell their story and get this out to other people in hopes that maybe it betters their life and gives them some inspiration or something. It's going to be a really exciting time, and obviously this city is in my blood. My dad's been a part of it for a long time, so I'm really excited. Thank you all. A lot of people would say I was crazy, right? So why do you throw your hand up and subject yourself to going into city politics? I think, especially as I've gotten older, I just felt, maybe a civic duty, like a responsibility to say, hey, this city's been great to me. Here's a way that I can give back and take some of my skills and put them to work for the people of this city. I wanted to bring a different, maybe way of thinking and take some of my business acumen and see areas that it may apply to how we develop and grow this community and just give a different perspective. One of our biggest challenges, but also one of our biggest opportunities, is how do we develop and grow this community? We don't want to grow too fast, but we want to grow at a pace that helps support, who and what we are as a community. So, we've got a lot of opportunities, whether that be through development or parks. We've got a lot of land coming on board. So I just think it's important, it's a challenge, but it's also our greatest opportunity. And so we just got to be smart how we do that. It's just asking some different questions. I'm one that, I'm not contrarian for contrarian's sake. What I am is someone will tell me something and then I want to get to that position with them by just asking thoughtful questions along the way. And then if I can get there, then I feel like we've answered everything we can to move that forward versus, hey, here's kind of how we've done it. I'm never this is how we do it, this is how we've always done it, and this is how we'll continue to do it. Office of Council Member for District 2. All of my practical experience has put me in this position to serve, and I just raised my hand and said I want to do that. For which I was elected on April 5th, 2022. I feel this obligation to carry this legacy that my dad did, my family did, and then giving my kids an environment to grow up in that makes them want to come back. My kids have started recs through the Parks and Recreation system, and I'm watching them play soccer on this sport field that, my dad helped develop. And my dad's sitting there with me, right? I mean, that's the stuff that really matters in life.
Chairman DeMauro. Vice Chair Pryor.
Here.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Present.
Councilmember Rader.
Present.
Yes.
I would move to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
I have a motion.
Chairman DeMauro.
Aye.
Vice Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rader.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody know of any public comments? On to business. First item is the approval of the August 12, 2024 Public Works Committee action letter. Looking for a motion.
Chair, I make a motion to approve the August 12, 2024 Public Works Committee action letter.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the August 12, 2024 Public Works Committee action letter. Roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro.
Aye.
Vice Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rader.
Aye.
Passes. All right, next up, TMP-3034, an ordinance awarding the bid for project number 977-31683 for a Cathodic Protection Program FY24 to Wiedenmann, Incorporated, in the amount of $1,037,005 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Mr. Thorne.
Thank you. Jeff Thorne, Deputy Director, Water Utilities. Bring before you a project bid for our annual Cathodic Protection Project. Cathodic Protection is the protection of our metallic water mains using anodes to slow the degradation caused by the soil-water interaction with the pipe. We do this because we can do 10 miles of cathodic protection for every 1 mile of pipe replacement. This does not necessarily heal the pipe. If there's erosion in the pipe from corrosion and that kind of stuff, it stays, but it arrests that erosion so it doesn't go any further. We find a great deal of life extension on our lines like this. At some point we will have to replace these lines. What we're trying to do is lengthen the life of them so that we can get to them at a later date when our funding allows. The areas in here cover about 10 miles of main using that $1 million. So We find it to be very effective and a useful tool. It allows us to plan better for our CIP and to keep the rates in check as best we can. Happy to take any of your questions.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Thorne, how long have we been doing this program?
6 or 7 years now.
So do we know yet how much this lengthens the life of each?
Yeah, because we put in test stations with our anode installation, and we measure the electrical conductivity of the anodes. By measuring that, we can determine how much loss that comes in the anodes and therefore the burn rate they have. We initially started with a high potential magnesium, which was a more aggressive anode. It also, what means it would burn out faster. We didn't really like those. We were only going to get 15, maybe 20 years out of them. We've changed to a zinc anode. Those burn a little bit slower, but due to the aggressive nature of our soil, seem to be the right fit. We're hoping to get 20, 25 years out of our Cathodic Protection Program. We have been graphing, looking at break rates and that kind of stuff. We've been doing these in areas around town. We look at the break rate on the assets prior to the installation anodes and then thereafter for the following years. And we've been trending that, so.
Awesome, thank you.
Mr. Thorne, did you say how long you've been doing this practice?
I think around 7 years.
7 years? Yeah. And is it typically about 10 miles or?
Depends on how much money we put into the pot, but it costs 1.4 to 1.5 million to do replacement per mile, and I can get about 10 miles out of a million. So.
Yeah, that was great, and that was a great question, Trish. I love that. Answered my question. Thank you.
So I'd look for a motion.
Chair, I would move TMP-3034 to City Council with the recommendation of approval. Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second, moving TMP-3034 to full council with a recommendation of approval. Roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro?
Aye.
Vice Chair Pryor?
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle?
Aye.
Councilmember Rader?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up, TMP-3101 An Ordinance, authorizing the execution of a cooperative service agreement by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri, the Lee Summit Municipal Airport, and the United States Department of Agriculture, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, Wildlife Services, to cooperate in a wildlife damage management project and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same. Mr. Arrington.
Good afternoon. No, I'm Thad Dearman, Assistant Airport Manager.
Okay.
Joel, Mr. Arrington, is on vacation this week. Yeah.
Flying someplace?
No, I think he did go to Oklahoma for a bit. So what you have before you is actually a renewal ordinance, and this is for managing wildlife. The process that we do is, so we've contacted USDA and they've agreed to take care of these animals. And these animals that we're talking about are deer, turtles, birds, coyotes. The type of birds range from red-tailed hawks, sparrows, blue herons, and eagles. We're mainly concerned about the larger raptors. This also includes groundhogs. The ways that we're mitigating the wildlife and why we have to do that is because when airplanes are on landing and takeoff, it's the most critical phase of flight, and we don't want really damage to the aircraft or loss of life to happen. So that's one of the reasons we're doing it. But the other ways that we're doing this is through rodenticide, which is what kills rodents, which attract the raptors and the coyotes and the predators that we're trying to not have on the airport. So the budget that we planned for was around $25,000. We don't expect to really use that, but we do have that in place. So, do you guys have any questions?
Questions from the council?
You said you do this every year? You do,
We started this last year, and it's a good program. We're seeing the USDA truck drive around and set up trail cameras, and he's doing a really good job with pictures of what he is mitigating and taking off the airport.
so this isn't an FAA regulation, correct?
Well, the FAA recommends that all airport operators have some sort of program, and the USDA does do this for other airports that the FAA watches and stuff like that.
And so apparently you didn't have to spend 25,000 last year.
No, we spent, I
the
think,
number was?
8,000.
Well, I think this is a good thing.
Yeah.
For our pilots and people that are flying in and out of there, because birds flying, you know how that, you know. Anyway, so, okay, yeah, thank you. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So, you said rodent side?
Yes.
Is that the USDA name for their program?
That's an agent that they put down in the grass, and it
So
kills
it's
them.
a poison.
It's a poison. Yeah.
So we're killing the rodents,
Yes.
but then when the other things eat them, we're killing them too.
Actually, no.
Okay.
That doesn't
Thank
affect
you.
the birds or the coyotes. It just eliminates the rodents, so it doesn't. Those predators don't come to the airport because they're no longer there. Yeah.
We do that without killing all the other animals.
Yes.
Real poison
Yes.
that only affects rodents.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So I have a question, and that is, the predators, when we have to eliminate them,
Yes.
is the USDA the only ones authorized to eliminate them, or is airport staff also?
No, just the USDA. Yeah.
And so if it was, are they on call? I mean, do they come out in the middle of the night if you have a herd of
They're not necessarily on call, but they're actively coming around with the cameras, watching those cameras daily. And when there's activity at night or during the day, they know when to. Yeah, right. Yes.
Any other questions? Look for a motion then.
Chair?
Yes.
I would like to move to council for review TMP-3101, an ordinance authorizing the execution of Cooperative Service Agreement by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri, Lee Summit Municipal Airport, and the United States Department of Agriculture, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, Wildlife Service to cooperate in wildlife damage management project, and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same.
Was that a recommendation?
Yes, I said, okay, I said review to, recommendation to council. Thank you.
For approval.
For approval. Thank you. That's the first time I've done that. Thank you.
Second.
Chair.
For approval, recommendation.
Just,
Thank you all for your
Yeah.
assistance.
No,
Appreciate it.
yes.
I need it.
well, I've got a lawyer breathing down my neck, and so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I have a motion and a second, moving TMP-3101 to the full council with a recommendation of approval. Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Chairman DeMoro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pryor,
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle,
Aye.
Councilmember Rader,
Aye.
Thank you, the motion passes. Next up, TMP-3096, an ordinance awarding the bid for project number 1046 for the Police Substation Project to Kelly Construction Group in the amount of $2,501,631, and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Ms. Bloom.
Thank you. Sharon Bloom, Central Building Services. I'm here today to ask you to recommend to council for approval a contract for Kelly Construction Group to perform the renovation of our old Fire Station 5 to become our shiny new police substation. We put this out for bid, and that's how we found them. Any questions?
Questions? Sharon, it looks like it's substantially under what we thought it was going to be.
No?
Was it- But thought it was going to be 5?
Oh, no. No, no, it's right on budget.
All right, well, I'm still excited.
I am too.
All right, any questions for? Okay, seeing none, I'd look for a motion.
Chair, I move to recommend to council for approval TMP-3096, an ordinance awarding the bid for project number 1046 for the police substation project to Kelly Construction Group in the amount of $2,501,631 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Second.
Motion and a second, moving TMP-3096 to the full council with a recommendation of approval. No discussion, roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pryor,
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle,
Aye.
Councilmember Rader,
Aye.
The motion passes. Next up, TMP-3101 An Ordinance adding Exhibit C1 to the Public Highway Overpass Agreement, Northwest Colbern Road, DOT 441960S, by and between the Union Pacific Railroad Company and the City of Lee Summit, Missouri, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same. Mr. Kohler.
Greg Kohler, Senior Staff Engineer. So on the Colbern Road project, we had to execute a public highway overpass agreement with the railroad to be able to build over their right-of-way. And basically, there was an Exhibit C in there, which was an enforcement account that the city was to pay up to like $55,000 for their engineers to be out there during demo and construction, and they were supposed to review submittals and things like that. Well, they've demoed the deck over the right-of-way, and they're up against the $55,000 right now because of how long it's taken. So basically, the C1 exhibit is they're asking for an additional $110,000 to be able to finish all their construction management during the construction. So, I mean, if we don't do it, then the project stops and gets delayed. So there's not really a whole lot we can do about it. Any questions?
So why the delay? Why the up against 50? Why did it take so long?
They spent a lot more time out there cutting the slab and everything and getting it pulled off. So their people were out there a lot longer than they thought they were going to be. It's either that or they just did a bad estimate at the very beginning.
Yeah, because aren't they accountable for when they give us the bid, they're accountable to keep within their expenses for their bid?
Well, this is an estimate coming from the railroad. They have to have their engineers out there during construction. So this was an estimate that came from them that was in this agreement. I mean, they can change it to whatever they want, I guess. I mean, they've spent it, so we're going to have to up it or the project's going to get stopped.
So was this a rehab project or so?
No, we're tearing down the bridge and building a new one for the Colbern.
I guess I just don't understand. I mean, I'm just asking. Okay, you may not have all the answers, but I'm just not understand how come somebody comes in there, gives you a bid and said they think it's going to be this as an estimate, but to be another 100,000 beyond that is quite a lot.
Not really a bid. I mean, it's an estimate based on.
Okay, so it was an estimate.
Councilor, if I could, the way this is set up, it's a time and materials estimate. So that means that Union Pacific said, we think it'll take this many hours. And that's just based on the design plan that we had. So they looked at the engineer plans we had before the bid. Now, when the contractor comes in, they may have different means and methods. And so now our contractor is doing something a little different that requires more time. The bridge removal is fairly complex because I think they had, 3 cranes on site to try to lift the slab and move that off. And so that's part of it. And then the conversation with the Union Pacific engineer that's working on this it's a consulting firm working for the UP. In their conversation, they said they wanted to be conservative on this estimate. So this is a not to exceed amount. And so we'll get billed for what they actually perform on site. So they think this will be more than enough to cover at this additional $110,000. So with the time and materials, I expect it to be less than that. This is very similar to when we have agreements where we have to pay for utility relocation. They give us the number up front. We basically settle up at the end. And so this is kind of how this approach works when dealing with the railroad or utilities, is we get an estimate up front, and then somewhere at the end we have to settle up, whether it's we underspend or overrun that initial estimate.
It's a good answer, but I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I don't. I just am sorry that.
I don't like it either, but probably one of the biggest differences in this is when you get from what's shown on a set of design plans, and then the contractor actually goes out to build it. They will have different means or methods of how they approach that, because again, it's based on the crews available, the equipment, and just the condition at the site. I mean, obviously, when they get on site, it's a very different operation than what may have been envisioned in place.
Well, yeah, so it's just like, not to belabor this, but, in the residential building world or commercial building world, you give someone a bid, an estimate, and you say, this is what we're going to charge, and then they stay within that. So that's why I asked if this is more like a rehab, because, when you're going in for a rehab type of thing, you'll get into things you don't know are there, and I get that. But, so.
In some ways, you could, with that example, this is very similar to rehab, because, again, once we get into it, the actual work entailed there's a lot of unknowns. As an example on this one, the telecom fiber that's supposed to be within the railroad right-of-way was outside the easement, and it was directly under the bridge abutment, so that meant the contractor had to stop, so there was some delay involved with that. Meanwhile, we'll still have the engineer on site because we're still working over the right-of-way. So it's things like that. There's a lot of unknowns.
Okay, well, that makes more sense. If there's unknowns that they're finding when they're digging in there and they don't know that they're there, then that's a little more plausible, but a lot of money. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Kohler. I think we're questions. Looking for a motion.
I'll try again, if you don't mind. I recommend to full council for approval TMP-3111 An Ordinance adding an Exhibit C1 to the Public Highway Overpass Agreement, Northwest Colbern Road, DOT 441960S, by and between the Union Pacific Railroad Company and the City of Lee Summit, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
Discussion, roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pryor,
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle,
Aye.
Councilmember Rader.
Aye.
Motion passes. That leads us to roundtable. Anybody have any items you want to discuss? Say? Oh, Councilmember Carlisle.
I do, I'm sorry. Okay, so I had somebody contact me regarding sidewalks in their neighborhood. And I put it in here so I wouldn't forget. Let's see. So White Ridge Farm, and they're saying, I mean, obviously everybody wants sidewalks that doesn't have sidewalks, but the connections they're worried about are really the ones that connect the neighborhood to the schools. They see that as a major safety issue, that there is nothing there for them to get through to the schools. And so I know that we have CIP stuff in there, and I was just wondering if you knew how far down this neighborhood was on that list.
I don't specifically know where this neighborhood's located. I'd have to look into our sidewalk program to see where it's ranked and how it lines up.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're working on phase 2, on construction phase 2 of that.
All right.
We actually added 5 million. We've got 7 million. Well, that's why George said phase 2.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, if just you could shoot me the answer, or if you know it, if you can find it, whatever, that'd be fantastic.
And that was actually the predicate for like sidewalks or the sidewalk gap to schools and parks and things. Keep people off, keep kids and people off the streets.
Yep. Fantastic. All right, great. Thank you.
All right. Councilman.
Well, George, it's at Murray and 3rd,
Okay.
White Ridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
You
yeah.
said you didn't know the location.
No, the location of where
on-
it ranks within the program, right, yeah. Yeah, there's no sidewalk in that neighborhood, so.
So you're like Google Maps, right? You're,
I'm a 30-year veteran.
well, why didn't you make them put sidewalks?
I'm really important, right?
Our job, that was our job.
Staff, any roundtable?
Yes, Chairman. Couple things here. First off, we'd like to recognize Eric Johnson, who is one of our fleet mechanics. He was recognized as the Emergency Vehicle Technician of the Year for the Midwest region. It's quite an honor. It's the Heartland Emergency Apparatus Technicians Association, and so he was recognized for the Midwest region as Technician of the Year. And that's just, I think, just a credit to some of the, the staff that we do have on hand, because all of our mechanics are ASE certified, as you see out there. But this emergency vehicle technician is very unique to the city.
I don't think he's here, is he?
Well, we can still.
Yes.
Yes, but congratulations to.
And also, we wanted to point out that we're beginning our snow operations training. It'll be the week of September 16th through the 20th, so Friday the 20th. You all are invited to join us. We'll be having the lunch at 11:30. You have the option to drive or watch others drive. And this year it's a little different. It's at our operations facility, and it's not a scored event. It's basically getting in the truck and operating with an operator side by side, kind of a right seat, left seat, to walk through the course. And it goes through the whole entire operation, where you pull up to the salt dome as if you're being loaded, and then even the brine machine, and then and just go through the different the obstacle course we have set up out there. So again, y'all are welcome to come as guest drivers, or just to come out and hang out with us for lunch at 11:30.
No scoring, so I won't get points off because I drive slow then, right?
You will not be penalized for driving slow. Safety is a priority.
I was told many times, you need to speed it up, and I'm, no, I don't.
That was Phyllis's thing. It's going to be sad without her there this year.
I know. Any other roundtable from anyone? All right, seeing no more comments, I'll adjourn this meeting at, what is it, 4:55? Yeah.
There you go.
Very good.
You even said.